Meghan Markle humiliated after Tom Bower drops shocking what she claims. This is bad. The walls aren't just closing in on Montecito anymore, people. They have completely collapsed. Hollywood is in absolute shambles. Buckingham Palace is allegedly popping champagne behind closed doors. And the global media is in a state of absolute, unadulterated meltdown. Why? Because the ultimate doomsday clock for the Duchess of Sussex has just struck midnight. Are we finally witnessing the definitive end of the Sussex Empire? Did legendary investigative powerhouse Tom Bower just drop a nuclear-grade truth bomb in his explosive 2026 masterpiece Betrayal that cannot be undone, unread, or litigated away? The internet is currently convulsing over freshly leaked, unedited footage and highly classified receipts that place Meghan Markle exactly where her high-priced PR team promised she never was, standing on the deck of a multi-million-dollar luxury yacht, rubbing shoulders with the world's most dangerous shadowy billionaires. For a decade, anyone who dared to question her immaculate, self-made Hollywood narrative was labeled a conspiracy theorist. Well, guess what? It's time for the haters to eat a massive, extra-large slice of humble pie, because the receipts are out, the files have been breached, and the panic emitting from her camp is so loud you can practically hear it from outer space. We are talking about a scandal so massive, so legally catastrophic, and so deeply intertwined with the dark underbelly of the global elite that it makes the previous royal drama look like a playground dispute. Grab your popcorn, lock your doors, and turn your volume all the way up. You are about to witness the absolute unmasking of the century. The sheer velocity of this scandal is ripping through the fabric of mainstream media like a freight train. And to truly understand the sheer panic radiating from the Sussex mansion right now, we have to look closely at the catastrophic chain of events that brought us to this exact moment. Tom Bower did not just write another regular celebrity biography. He essentially dropped a legal and cultural warhead directly onto the carefully curated image that Meghan Markle has spent the last decade building with a multi-million-dollar PR machine. For years, the narrative was meticulously controlled, every public appearance scripted to perfection, and any independent journalist who dared to scratch beneath the surface of her pre-royal life was instantly met with aggressive legal threats, public shaming, and an army of online bots designed to silence any dissent. But the year 2026 has completely changed the rules of engagement, because the floodgates haven't just opened. They have been entirely obliterated by a mountain of newly surfaced forensic data, anonymous insider testimonies, and leaked digital footprints that her team thought were permanently scrubbed from the internet. The panic is palpable because, unlike previous minor controversies about family feuds or staff management issues, these explosive new claims strike directly at the foundation of her entire identity, forcing mainstream publications that once protected her to suddenly pivot and start asking the deeply uncomfortable questions they avoided for years. To understand why this is causing an absolute emergency behind closed doors, we have to revisit the complex web of high society connections that originally laid the groundwork for her meteoric rise. Long before she ever met Prince Harry, long before the global cameras were fixed on her every move, there was a highly exclusive, secretive world of luxury travel, elite networking, and shadow-backed corporate entities operating entirely outside the public eye. Commentators are pointing directly to the intricate role played by figures like Marcus Anderson, the notoriously influential gatekeeper of Soho House, whose name continuously surfaces whenever investigations dig into the logistics of how Meghan managed to transition from a secondary cable television actress into an elite global jet-setter. The timeline is incredibly precise, and the details emerging from Bower's investigation paint a picture of an intricate international network where high-net-worth individuals, tech billionaires, and powerful financial moguls rubbed shoulders away from the prying eyes of paparazzi. For years, the internet was flooded with what mainstream outlets dismissed as fringe rumors regarding Meghan's alleged presence on luxury yachts in the Mediterranean. But the moment columnist Julie Burkill published that blistering factual inquiry in The Spectator asking whether her guest appearances on these ultra-luxury vessels numbered in the double or triple digits, the entire media landscape shifted overnight. It was the definitive signal that the protective barrier surrounding the Duchess had cracked, and the topic was no longer confined to the dark corners of online forums, but was now being discussed openly by established journalists with massive platforms. What makes this specific moment in 2026 so entirely unprecedented is that the Sussex camp's usual strategy of dignified silence or aggressive legal retaliation has completely backfired, creating a Streisand effect of monumental proportions. Historically, whenever a critical book or documentary was released, their representatives would either issue a blanket denial or ignore it entirely to avoid giving the claims any additional oxygen. However, the reaction to the early manuscripts of Bauer's investigation was shockingly frantic. Before the book even hit bookstore shelves, a highly aggressive, defensively worded statement was pushed out through their legal channels, practically begging the public to dismiss the upcoming revelations as pure fiction. This immediate hyper-reactive defense mechanism instantly raised red flags across the media industry, signaling to seasoned royal watchers that Bauer had stumbled upon something incredibly real, incredibly verified, and absolutely devastating to their long-term survival. The public began to realize that the intense anxiety within the Montecito camp wasn't about trivial gossip regarding dress fittings or royal protocols, but rather a profound fear that the curtain was finally being pulled back on the precise financial and social arrangements that funded her lavish lifestyle before her royal marriage. The controversy reached an absolute fever pitch when an unredacted, high-resolution photograph from a 2016 Mediterranean cruise began circulating wildly across global social media networks, instantly generating millions of views and triggering an intense, frantic effort by PR firms to control the narrative. The image itself shows a group of affluent women enjoying a private gathering on a multi-million-dollar yacht off the coast of the Balearic Islands, and within hours, digital forensic analysts and online commentators began matching the faces in the photo to some of the most controversial figures in modern history. The initial viral wave claimed that one of the women standing directly adjacent to Meghan was Karina Shuliak, the notorious close associate, linked to the deeply sinister network of Jeffrey Epstein. While independent fact-checkers quickly scrambled to state that the woman in question was actually an Italian lifestyle blogger named Flavia Dincone, who merely shared a striking resemblance, the damage was already done because the conversation had permanently shifted into dangerous territory. The public didn't care about the mistaken identity of one specific guest. What captivated the entire world was the undeniable verified fact that Meghan Markle was indeed present on that luxury yacht, embedded deeply within a hyper-exclusive social circle that operated at the highest levels of global wealth and influence. This brings us directly to the highly suspicious financial anomalies that have baffled her former co-stars and associates for over a decade, many of whom are now allegedly speaking to investigators under the strict condition of anonymity. During her time filming in Toronto, her official salary as a supporting actress on a basic cable drama was publicly documented. Yet her lifestyle during hiatus periods reflected that of an old-money billionaire, featuring constant first-class international flights, stays at ultra-exclusive private villas, and access to high-end social circles that typically require tens of millions of dollars just to enter. Former associates have reportedly expressed their deep confusion to authors, noting that her sudden, unexplained access to the highest echelons of international society never quite aligned with her professional income at the time. This massive discrepancy is precisely what Tom Bauer's new material focuses on, tracing the exact paper trails, corporate sponsorships, and private flight manifests that facilitated her travels across London, New York, and the Mediterranean during those critical pre-royal years. As the public meticulously connects these dots, the focus has inevitably turned toward the powerful financial figures who controlled these elite spaces, most notably the American billionaire businessman Ron Burkle, whose vast ownership stake in Soho House positioned him as a central figure in this entire ecosystem. Burkle's name has historically appeared in various flight logs and contact directories associated with the Epstein investigation, and while no credible agency has ever produced evidence of direct wrongdoing by Burkle or any connection to Meghan, the mere proximity of these massive social networks has ignited an absolute firestorm of public speculation. The mainstream press, which had spent years tiptoeing around these complex relationships out of fear of multi-million-dollar defamation lawsuits, is suddenly finding itself forced to report on the sheer volume of public interest and the undeniably authentic documentation currently leaking across the internet. The sheer panic from Meghan's camp stems from the realization that they can no longer control the algorithms, they can no longer bully independent creators into silence, and they can no longer rely on traditional media gatekeepers to bury the story, meaning that the true nature of her pre-royal network is being laid bare for the entire world to analyze, dissect, and judge as the second phase of this explosive exposure completely unravels the remaining secrets her team fought so desperately to hide. The unraveling of this carefully constructed facade enters its most dangerous territory, as we examine the classified digital footprints and corporate paper trails that her legal team spent years attempting to scrub from the depths of the internet. The panic behind the scenes has escalated from a standard public relations crisis into a full-blown logistical emergency, because the documents currently leaking into the public domain are providing a day-by-day, flight-by-flight blueprint of her movements during those highly secretive pre-royal years. Investigators close to the matter have pointed out that the primary source of anxiety within the Sussex camp isn't just the public embarrassment of these luxury yacht listings being exposed, but rather the severe financial and legal implications of the undisclosed corporate sponsorships that allegedly funded these international excursions. In the high-stakes world of elite networking, nothing is ever truly free, and independent financial analysts are now openly questioning what kinds of non-disclosure agreements, promotional contracts, or social favors were exchanged in return for access to these multi-million-dollar vessels and ultra-exclusive private islands. For years, her branding was built entirely on the concept of being a self-made, independent woman who climbed the ladder of Hollywood success solely through hard work. But the forensic analysis of her travel manifest presents a starkly different reality, one where her entire trajectory was systematically mapped out and financed by a highly coordinated group of international power brokers. As these leaked travel logs gain traction across global news networks, the focus has shifted heavily toward the sheer scale of the luxury spending that occurred during these high society voyages. Anonymous sources within the luxury maritime industry have recently come forward with staggering details regarding the sheer opulence of the parties hosted on these vessels, where single-night catering budgets regularly exceeded the annual salaries of average working-class citizens. The descriptions emerging from these anonymous insider accounts paint a vivid picture of extreme indulgence, featuring private security details, elite chefs flown in from Michelin-starred restaurants, and high-end fashion styling paid for entirely through shadowy offshore corporate accounts. What makes these details so incredibly damaging is the profound hypocrisy they expose, as the public struggles to reconcile this image of extreme, unregulated luxury consumption with the carefully manufactured public persona of a humble, eco-conscious humanitarian, who routinely lectures the global population on sustainability and economic equality. The backlash from the public has been instantaneous and brutal, with social media platforms flooded with demands for absolute transparency regarding the true origins of the funding that allowed a secondary cable television actress to live like royalty years before she ever wore a tiara. The internal crisis intensified significantly when a group of independent investigative journalists began cross-referencing the newly leaked flight manifests with the public schedule of prominent political and corporate figures from that exact time frame. The data revealed a series of highly bizarre, overlapping timelines that placed her in the exact same international ports and exclusive resorts as some of the most controversial power players in global finance. While her representatives have frantically maintained that these overlapping dates are nothing more than pure coincidence, the sheer volume of these statistical anomalies has made the coincidence theory completely mathematically impossible to believe. The public is now staring directly at a pattern of behavior that suggests a high-level of access to international elite circles that simply cannot be explained away by standard Hollywood networking. Every time a new spreadsheet or flight log is leaked, the public reaction grows more volatile, creating an atmosphere of intense anticipation as the world waits to see which prominent billionaire or political figure will be linked to the scandal next. This brings us to the devastating breakdown of her internal support system, as longtime associates, publicists, and former friends are reportedly scrambling to distance themselves from the impending fallout before the ship completely sinks. Reports are swirling that several of her high-priced crisis management consultants have quietly resigned over the past 48 hours, citing an inability to defend against the sheer volume of unverified financial documentation and authentic photographs flooding the internet. The sense of isolation within the Montecito mansion is said to be reaching an all-time high, with internal staff describing an environment of absolute paranoia where every phone call is viewed with suspicion and every email is heavily scrutinized for potential leaks. The pressure has become so immense that even her most loyal media allies, who spent years aggressively defending her against every minor criticism, are suddenly remaining conspicuously silent, refusing to put their own professional reputations on the line to defend a narrative that is clearly collapsing under its own weight. The public reactions have evolved from mere curiosity into absolute outrage, as mainstream commentators who previously championed her cause are now publicly turning on her. High-profile television hosts and prominent op-ed writers are openly expressing their sense of betrayal, stating that they were systematically misled by a highly sophisticated public relations campaign designed to mask a history of elite jet setting under the guise of grassroots activism. This shift in the cultural zeitgeist is perhaps the most catastrophic development for the Sussex brand, because without the protection of the mainstream media elite, they are left completely exposed to the full force of public scrutiny and independent investigation. The comment sections of major news outlets are filled with thousands of messages from former supporters who are expressing their disgust at the sheer level of deception, with many calling for a total boycott of any future media projects, books, or archetypal ventures associated with the couple. As the narrative continues to fracture, the focus has inevitably turned toward the potential legal ramifications of these hidden financial networks, with tax experts and legal analysts beginning to examine whether these undisclosed luxury perks violated international financial disclosure laws. In many jurisdictions, receiving high-value luxury travel, accommodation, and hospitality from foreign corporate entities without proper declaration can trigger severe legal audits and massive financial penalties. The possibility of an official government probe into the funding structures of her pre-royal lifestyle is no longer a fringe theory. It is becoming a highly discussed scenario among legal scholars who understand the strict regulations governing international wealth transfers. The mere threat of a formal financial investigation has sent shockwaves through her remaining business partners, who are terrified that their own corporate accounts could be dragged into a highly publicized legal discovery process. The tension is building to an absolute breaking point as the public begins to realize that the most explosive revelations have not even been fully detailed yet, with Tom Bower openly hinting that the next phase of his investigative rollout contains verified physical evidence that will render any future public relations defense completely useless. The global audience is trapped in a state of perpetual suspense, constantly refreshing their feeds for the next drop of leaked documents or insider testimonies. The realization that her carefully constructed empire of influence is completely falling apart in real time has turned this scandal into the most watched media event of 2026, setting the stage for an absolute legal and financial catastrophe as the final, most devastating phase of this exposure begins to threaten the very survival of her royal title and global standing. The potential for an international legal and financial auditing crisis has now transformed from a distant nightmare into an immediate, looming reality for the Montecito household. As the global public dissects every line of the leaked flight manifests and yacht passenger lists, the question of institutional accountability has taken center stage. Financial regulatory experts are pointing out that if these high-end, multi-million-dollar international trips were funded through complex webs of offshore corporate shells or undisclosed high-net-worth benefactors, they could potentially trigger massive retroactive tax investigations spanning multiple jurisdictions including Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The legal team that once aggressively fired off cease and desist letters to independent blogs is now reportedly drowning in a sea of compliance paperwork, desperately trying to construct a bulletproof defense against potential statutory audits. The sheer weight of this legal pressure has sent shockwaves through the entire Sussex corporate portfolio, paralyzing their planned luxury retreats and commercial media ventures as corporate sponsors pull back, terrified of being entangled in a highly publicized international financial probe. The public backlash has officially reached a point of no return, morphing into a widespread cultural rebellion against the entire concept of manufactured celebrity humanism. Mainstream public opinion polls in mid-2026 are showing a catastrophic, historic drop in the couple's favorability ratings, reaching single digits in areas where they once enjoyed massive popularity. Activists and public commentators are calling for immediate transparency, demanding that the couple step down from their positions in various global charitable foundations until a full, independent inquiry can verify the ethical origins of their pre-royal financial backing. The hypocrisy of preaching global sacrifice while allegedly benefiting from the ultra-luxury, dark money networks of the international elite has completely shattered their credibility among younger demographics who previously viewed them as progressive icons. Online petitions demanding the total stripping of their remaining royal titles have gained millions of verified signatures within days, putting unprecedented pressure on Buckingham Palace and Parliament to take definitive legislative action to protect the dignity of the crown. Amidst this raging public storm, the internal panic within their remaining professional circle has manifested in a series of frantic, late-night strategy shifts, and emergency board meetings. Production insiders whisper that major streaming platforms and publishing houses are quietly invoking standard morality clauses to indefinitely freeze or cancel upcoming multi-million-dollar production deals, completely cutting off the vital financial lifelines required to maintain their massive security apparatus and lavish lifestyle. The realization that their primary sources of income are evaporating at the exact same moment their reputation is being dismantled has created an atmosphere of absolute desperation. Industry executives who once competed for exclusive interviews are now briefing journalists that the Sussex brand has officially become radioactive, with no major network willing to touch a scripted or unscripted project featuring the couple out of fear of consumer boycotts and immediate corporate backlash. The geopolitical dimensions of the scandal are also beginning to surface, as political commentators observe how foreign media outlets and state-aligned publications are using the unverified yacht claims to mock Western celebrity culture and criticize institutional oversight. The story has evolved far beyond a simple piece of Hollywood gossip. It has become a full-scale case study in the vulnerability of modern media systems to high-level public relations manipulation. The fact that these deep-seated rumors were successfully kept out of mainstream publications for nearly a decade through aggressive legal bullying is now being viewed as a massive systemic failure of the free press, sparking intense debates among journalism boards regarding the abuse of privacy laws by wealthy public figures to suppress matters of public interest. The final, most devastating blow to their remaining defense strategy has come from the sudden, unexpected silence of their most vocal political allies. High-profile politicians and international dignitaries who once proudly posed for photographs with the Duchess are now actively ghosting her representatives, refusing to issue even a basic statement of support or solidarity. This complete political abandonment has left the Sussexes entirely isolated on a global stage, exposed to the raw, unmitigated anger of a public that feels systematically deceived. The complete collapse of their elite shield means that every independent creator, investigative journalist, and forensic accountant now has free rein to dig even deeper into the archives, promising an endless cycle of fresh, unchecked exposures that will keep this scandal alive in the headlines for months, if not years to come. As the final chapters of Tom Bower's investigation continue to replicate across